All right. Are we ready? Welcome to the very first episode of the Popcorner Threes Pod, a brand new podcast where we combine movies, TV, comedy, and the NBA. So I guess what makes this show different is we keep our topics super focused for your listening convenience. We're not just talking about the current events. We'll leave that to Zach Lowe and such. So our topic today for our very first episode is what if NBA franchises were film franchises? So this is going to be really fun. By the way, I'm using the term film franchises loosely because it could also be a director's films or an era of films or whatever's kind of funniest and most accurate, really. I'm going to leave it up to these guys who are joining me for this inaugural episode. I have three very, very, very special guests with unique qualifications and expertise. I will go starting on my Zoom left. Do we have like cardinal direction? Do we have cardinal directions for Zoom yet? I feel like that should be a thing. Starting on my Zoom left, we have Omar Maskati, no relation, just kidding, very much relation, brother relation, Omar Maskati.
Buongiorno. No relation. No,
No relation.
none. Yes. Hello, Khalil. Thank you. You are my brother, and I am happy to be here.
Um, to
Yes.
my Zoom southwest. We have this
Zoom by
isn't
Zoom.
this isn't working. Is Malcolm Nicholas,
What's up? How's it going?
and finally in the Zoom square directly under me
The only other one.
I'm in the subservient Zoom square. I don't want that.
is Adam Mamawala.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
All right, so to start us off, I guess I'll give an example of kind of what you can expect from this episode. Basically, the example I emailed all the guys here, which by the way means this one is off the table, we'll be skipping it, is that the Lakers are Tarantino movies. And my justification for that were they're always pretty good, at least. They're kind of flashier than your normal prestige movies. It's kind of that thing where like a frat boy could love a Tarantino movie but not explain why. And it's like the same thing where if you go to like any random person on the street in LA, they'll be like, yeah, the Lakers are great, but they can't tell you that they're like top five in offense and defense or whatever. And also Tarantino has a thing for old timey Hollywood. So it just all kind of fits, and the Lakers are Tarantino movies. So that's the example I use. So we're basically going to be doing that, but for every team in the NBA, even the most exciting franchises. And we're going to go in alphabetical order. And none of us have heard each other's choices. And if there is, I guess, a tie, if someone picks someone that someone else had, we can have fun with it. We can debate a little bit. We can disagree with other people, maybe offer up other options, as long as we don't get too sidetracked. But I think it all should be pretty fun. So, Adam, why don't you start us off? Your name starts with A. The Atlanta
Hell yeah,
Hawks
it
start
does.
with A. We love the Hawks. Trey Young,
We love the
baby.
Hawks. We
Let's
love the
see.
Hawks.
Let's see what you got.
Trey Young is turning 15 next week. We're very excited about him. He looks 13, but he's. All right. The Atlanta Hawks, in my view, are the Scary Movie franchise. Now, much the same way that Scary Movie, Epic Movie, Not Another Teen Movie, etc., always have their moments and are like funny enough, but not actually that funny. The Hawks always seem to have their moments and are good enough, but never great. And particularly, I'm thinking like 10, 15 years ago, like during those Josh Smith, Joe Johnson years, they always seemed to be that team that people were like, yeah, they'll be really good in a couple years. But then it was a couple years later, and they were still just a first or second round playoff exit. And much like the Scary Movie franchise, they were reliable, but nothing to write home about.
All right, great stuff. The Atlanta Hawks are the Scary Movie franchise. I'm going to go second. Malcolm, you're going to love this because I'm going to break the rules again. Or I'm going to box out again. But I said that the Boston Celtics are Scorsese movies. And I said that because, I mean, obviously you think of Scorsese and you think of New York. But obviously you think of the New York franchises. I don't know if they're good enough to get the label of
The
Scorsese
Scorsese.
movies. So I went ahead with Boston, which is another East Coast gritty city. And
I fully expect the All-Star game to be longer than The Irishman. But
yeah, with everything at halftime.
Yeah.
And Scorsese, is considered one of the best directors of all time, and the Celtics are considered one of the best franchises of all time. I believe they're second to the Lakers in championships. And Scorsese, the movie he won Best Director for was The Departed, which takes place in Boston. It just sort of feels like his movies are always right. They're mob movies. They're gritty. They always win tons of awards, and it just kind of feels like that's how the Celtics always are. They always they come in when they're really, really good. It's sort of like they're really, really good in the same way. It's like they have some sort of big three. They have like a really good interior presence, blue collar, whatever you want to call it. So the Celtics are Scorsese movies. Next is a franchise that's making a lot of noise this year. Malcolm, tell us what you think about the Biggie Smalls owned Brooklyn Nets.
I know the Nets it was a hard one because I was like, do I focus on where they are right now and the fact that they could win the title this year or next year, or do I focus on like the 47 years before that they're
focus on the ABA years.
For all but two of them. I don't know, like what they're the two Jason Kidd years that really brought it all together.
Right, New Jersey.
But yeah, right. But so I went. This one's weird. I went with the Ghostbusters. We could go the current reboot, or we could go the original. I'm going to talk about the original for a moment. So 3 comedic acting legends, right? 3 like Aykroyd, Murray, Moranis, and then the fourth one, DeAndre Jordan would be the fourth one. So, there's the 3 big stars.
DeAndre Jordan was in Ghostbusters.
the three biggest stars on this Nets team, and then whoever the fourth is, maybe Joe Harris, whatever.
Claxton, Nick Claxton.
Yeah,
Speedy Claxton.
Excuse me.
Wow.
Freudian slip.
Shout out to the 2006 76ers. Oh my
God. So I say that this is like bringing together these talents, these big talents, and seeing how it works. In this scenario, I'm not sure who is who, but I will say that then years later, when they tried to make Ghostbusters 3 for like decades, famously, and Bill Murray had a problem with Dan Aykroyd's ideas for the script and vice versa. So that could be, a foretelling of what happens with like Kyrie and KD, right?
It's Bill Murray, Kyrie. I think that's what we're saying.
I think so.
Right?
I think
if someone can provide me with a photoshopped Harden, Kyrie, and Durant in Ghostbusters uniforms, I will take that in my email inbox immediately. All right, Omar, you're up next with, I think, the team we've all been waiting for, the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
Right.
Terry Rozier,
Never lost.
baby. Never lost.
Yes, the Charlotte Hornets. I had to dig deep into their history to truly understand who the Charlotte Hornets have been. But it seems to me that they're clearly M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Damn it, I had M. Night Shyamalan for another one. We're going to get to a lot of this.
Battle.
Okay, here's my reasoning. So they were actually, if you look back, really good early on in their early years, regularly in the playoffs and scary. They had like Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Glenn Rice. They traded for Anthony Mason. And then in 2004, which happens to be the same year that The Village came out, they became the Bobcats.
What a twist.
What a twist no one saw coming.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a point where the name Charlotte Bobcats, like the name M. Night Shyamalan, were ones just associated, like especially you get to The Last Airbender and things like that, like just names you wouldn't touch with a Cody Zeller sized pole. So I think Recently, very recently for the Hornets, they're slowly finding their form again. And M. Night Shyamalan had some good reviews with Split, and he's doing stuff on TV, which is a little bit outside the film world. But perhaps we're seeing a resurgence.
I'll go next. And I have one that Adam, this is your favorite team, Chicago Bulls. And I had a lot of fun with this one because I said that the Chicago Bulls are Star Wars.
Okay.
And I said that because, I mean, that's a big franchise to pick, you know, it's a big franchise to pick. But for good reason, you know, Star Wars is all anyone talked about for years. I mean, it's still what some people talk about, much like the Chicago Bulls in the Jordan era, right? So Michael Jordan is basically Luke Skywalker, right? I mean, he's like this mythic person. And I think so much of what people love about the Bulls is steeped in nostalgia. And I think it's the same way for current Bulls fans or even current NBA fans that love the 90s.
The Last Dance, The Last Jedi. I get it.
There you go. There you go. I think people keep trying to find the next Jordan, right? We've talked about that for so long. Is it LeBron? Is he his own thing? Whatever. And I think everyone always keeps trying to find the next Star Wars also. And a lot of times it's not the next Star Wars. And a lot of times it fails or it's just something different. Also, the Star Wars movies haven't been so great since. And the Bulls have not been so great since their glory years. And also, I think it's just kind of a fun thing that up until this most recent Star Wars trilogy, there were like 2 trilogies. There was the original 70s trilogy and then the prequels, and the Bulls had 2 3-peats. So that's why I think
I like the Phil Jackson, George Lucas comp too.
Yes.
I was gonna ask if Phil Jackson was Yoda. I don't know.
That's true. That might be even better. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. Fred Hoiberg was a pretty terrible baby Yoda.
All right. So next are Adam. It's your turn, and it's the Cleveland Cavaliers.
All right. I went. You said it was pretty loose in terms of the genres. I went about as loose as you can get here.
Great.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are rom-coms. Hear me out.
Okay. I like it.
Filled with heartbreak and sadness at the beginning, but unlikely triumph at the end. For years, the Cavs were subject to an unreasonable amount of heartbreak, largely at the hands of Michael Jordan. So it's fun for me to have the Cavs. And I quote, the inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. The shot on Elo. Good. Bulls win it. They win it. Most people know about the shot. Less people know about the fact that Jordan did the same exact thing to the Cavs several years later. He knocked them out of the playoffs on another game-winning shot in 1993. But let's really dig into the rom-com thing, right? LeBron was the one that got away. He broke their hearts. But then the guy gets the girl. LeBron returns. And just when things look like they're going to slip away, Draymond Green gets suspended for Game 5. And the rest is history. The fact that LeBron left again afterwards is the real-life version of romance, by the way, but that's neither here nor there.
All right. Next up is Malcolm. You have the Dallas Mavericks.
All right. Okay. Well, this one, I was hesitant to do this movie franchise with them. It's not a perfect chronological match, but I'm going to say the Dallas Mavericks are Indiana Jones because I feel like in the Mavericks, at least let's say last 20-year history, they've had that one like character, right? Dirk, and now Luka has taken the mantle from him. I feel like they're fun. Everyone likes them, right? Like no one hates Luka, no one hated Dirk. They're like fun to root for. They're kind of a character like Indiana Jones. And I do feel like the Indiana Jones franchise has gone through periods of like the first one's really good, Temple of Doom, the third one was good. The Shia LaBeouf swinging on vines, not so good. They were bad, and then Dirk Nowitzki came along. They won a title, and then they were kind of bad, and now they might be good again. So
it's Mark Cuban Spielberg.
Yes, I was going to say that actually.
And so to be clear, Indiana Jones was too easy for the Pacers, right? For the Indiana Pacers. That's why you had trouble.
I thought about that.
If that was my...
Indiana Pacers are Indiana Jones because.
Next is the Denver Nuggets, and the lucky person who has those guys is Omar.
Yes. So again, I just tried to do research because I don't know the full. So the Denver Nuggets have been around for some time, and so has the Rocky franchise. And aside from the fact that their mascot is named Rocky,
which is a
Colorado.
good reason.
Good reason. It's pretty much the only reason. But they've always been pretty good. They're like consistently not bad, aside from like a few things. But even if they are, there's like memorable characters on their teams. They drafted, I think, Dikembe Mutombo, like in the year. Alex English, Dikembe Mutombo, Melo, Phillips, Iverson. And so they've always kind of been like pretty good. And then they took a different approach, rebooted with younger stars, 2 young stars, and turned into Creed. And I'm saying that the Creed years are the current Jokic, Jamal Murray
Is Wikipedia going to call this the Creed era?
The Creed era
of Nuggets basketball?
Of Nuggets basketball.
I mean, honestly, their performance in the bubble last year was that was a rocky ass performance.
Yeah, very true.
Pretty as hell.
Underdog, always the underdog, but like they're coming.
They were one Mike Conley shot away from being knocked out in the first round.
Next, we have Adam tackling the curious case of the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, baby, I got something for you. The Detroit Pistons are the Godfather trilogy.
Oh, all right. Once we get to me, we'll discuss.
Oh, interesting.
Here's why. They were great, and then they sucked, and then they were great again. Now they suck, but we're not getting there. The Bad Boy Pistons were the first Godfather. Gritty, raw, ruthless. And as for my beloved Michael Jordan in the late 80s, look how they massacred my boy. The Pistons sucked for most of the 90s, much like the horrifically bad Godfather 2. But in the early 2000s, just when nobody thought they could, the Pistons returned to glory by shocking a historically stacked Lakers team, much the same way the Godfather 3 shocked people by not sucking as much as the previous film. Oh, and you're into violence, you say? Might I recommend Malice in the Palace? I rest my case.
Very true. Very true.
The Malice in the Palace is like the baptism scene from the first.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah, Ron Artest is trapping people in revolving doors.
Yeah.
The hills of Auburn were red that night.
Adam, that's kind of a hot take. Isn't Godfather 2 like some people love it, right?
Oh, I confused them. I confused the Godfather movies.
Oh yeah, 2 is good.
Oh, okay, cool.
The concept remains the same. I just said it wrong.
Agreed.
No, I will not do another take.
So I've got the next one. I've got the Golden State Warriors, and I'm going to go ahead and call this the Avengers movies. So for a second I was like, oh, is this just going to be the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe? But I thought that was too all-encompassing. I wanted to leave some for everyone else. So I'm just going to go with the Avengers quadrilogy or whatever. Avengers, Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame. Because I think I think kids love the Warriors because of Steph Curry, and kids love Marvel movies and the Avengers movies. And I think a lot of time those young kids' parents actually were like Bulls fans. And there's like this, there's like this argument of like, do you take the 96 MJ Bulls or you take the 2017 KD Steph Warriors? And that's kind of how I'm viewing this. I feel like Star Wars was sort of the Avengers movies of back in the day. And I feel like right now, and then I feel like the Steph Curry, KD Warriors were kind of that for this era. And so that makes a lot of sense to me. 72-10 versus 73-9. And I also think the KD Warriors, you could also look, it also kind of works because you can look at it like the KD Warriors were Thanos, and they were inevitable. They were gonna win no matter what. And everyone was terrified of them, and
except until the finals.
the Raptors had to go back in time and injure and tear Kevin Durant's Achilles to.
Hey, with one snap of the fingers, half of the Warriors stars went down. That was it.
Exactly.
Half of them.
Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson
played.
turned to dust with one snap of the fingers. Because I'm greedy and I'm the host, I gave myself 2 teams in a row. I don't know. So I'll just go ahead and go. I'll go twice in a row. So I have the Houston Rockets, and this is kind of a fun one, kind of random. I said the Houston Rockets are the Born Identity franchise.
Oh, I had that. Okay.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right,
we're going to battle it. We're going to battle.
So I said that because they don't know what their identity is anymore now that James Harden is gone. And James Harden was very much in his time there, just like Matt Damon running through the streets looking for answers, and you like
all by himself,
all by himself, and you're kind of flipping through channels, and the Born Identity is on, and you're like, which one is this? Whatever. I know it's the Born Identity, and that's like for the Rockets, you could just like you can like turn on any Rockets game from the past 3 seasons and be like, which version of the Rockets is this? Oh, whatever. James Harden's there, so it's them losing in the second round, right? And so I think that tracks. And I also think that like the Born Identity also recast Matt Damon is now, I think, Jeremy Renner in the most recent one. And so I think John.
Exactly. Jeremy Renner truly is a poor man's Matt Damon.
And yeah.
But his music is stellar.
So I said that the Rockets, they like the Born Identity franchise, they recast people, but then use the same formula over and over again. And that's their identity is kind of, in a sense, having no identity and just recasting people depending on who their star is that year. So yeah, Rockets are the Born Identity franchise.
You could also say that Harden gave them an ultimatum earlier this year.
Oh, I like it. And he tarnished his legacy.
Next is Malcolm with his self-proclaimed favorite team, the Indianapolis Pacers.
The Indiana Jones Pacers.
Indiana Jones Pacers. All right. After this one, once we get past the eyes, I'm feeling pretty good about my franchises, but this is the last one. We'll have to just tough through it together. I said that the Indiana Pacers are the Divergent franchise.
Whoa. Okay.
Because
I'll take your word for it.
I can't wait to hear this.
No, because like the Divergent franchise is like, oh, it's not the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is like the better version of this. And are like this team that they're like, I don't know, they're fine, I guess. And the Divergent movies did make money. I did look that up. I mean, they made some money. Anyway, so the Pacers are like, they're fine, they're good, but they're no one's favorite team. I mean, honestly, whose favorite team is if you're not from Indiana? Sorry to offend everyone from Indiana. But it feels like this like version that's like, they're fine, it's good, they make the playoffs, they're not like horrible, but they're never anyone's favorite. Like, oh, did you go see the new Divergent movie? Like, I don't know.
Omar, you have last year's heartthrobs of the bubble, the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
Pandemic P.
Yes, the Clippers. This was a little tough, but I think ultimately I ended up settling on the Clippers are specifically the Wolverine trilogy of the X-Men, because it starts with X-Men Origins, which are X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't know if there are two colons.
Colon, comma,
X-Men, yeah. Colon, Origins, colon, Wolverine. And they were just laughable. That was just a laughably poor film. And the Clippers for many, many years were the butt of every basketball joke. And then they slowly started to find some improvement. And the Wolverine, I think, also improved upon its predecessor. But then you still never would have seen coming suddenly just like Logan comes out and you're like, why is this amazing? And I think the Clippers have suddenly turned into that, where they went from the joke of the NBA to like one of the best superhero movies that we've seen in recent years.
Next up, we have Adam doing the grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies.
Wow.
This is a hot one. This is a hot one coming up. The Memphis Grizzlies are James Cameron movies in that they started in Canada. They started in Canada, moved to the U.S., and they fucking suck. While they often have a pretty good budget, their rosters tend to be constructed as shoddily as James Cameron's scripts. And let's just call the basketball in Vancouver experiment the Titanic.
The Titanic made a lot of money, the movie, and one of
But the ship did less well.
Did not fare as well.
It was cold and it sunk. Yeah.
This is a controversial one. I like it, but I could also see someone who loves James Cameron movies.
I feel like
but for the Memphis Grizzlies, a championship ring might as well be unobtainium. Let's put it that way.
But
truly a stellar piece of writing, unobtainium.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like James Cameron movies are too good for the Grizzlies. I think it needs to be a team that wins the title occasionally.
Did anyone else pick James Cameron movies?
I didn't. Nah.
Well, they're the Grizzlies then. So I have the next team, which is the Miami Heat. And I had originally chosen the Godfather movies, which Adam already used. Adam, which one did you use them for again? Use them for the Pistons.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be brief, but I used them for the Heat because I felt like Pat Riley was very much like a Godfather figure, and they very much had the Heat very much have like a family culture is what they always say, and very much like a mob family. But I can pivot here. I can improv, and I can say that.
No, I want to hear your Tyler Hero Pacino comparison.
I mean, a young stud.
He's Michael.
A young stud.
Michael Corleone.
Yeah.
No, I mean that was I think everything is very regimented on the Heat, right? Everyone talks about how you need to come in and be in shape. And I think when you're part of a mob family, that's kind of the vibe, is like you have to have your shit together. And yeah, I can see like they have so many players who also do well in the G League, like Kendrick Nunn or Duncan Robinson. And I kind of see that like them being shipped off to like Sicily and like, learning
they haven't made captain yet.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't learned the Heat way yet. So they had to like be shipped to Italy to learn their roots. And then they come back and they're like, now I understand what it is to be a part of this family. So that's why I originally picked them. I don't know if we just want to, if we want me to pivot, or Adam, I want to rebuttal. How do we do this?
I think we let the other two people decide
who's more the Godfather.
Well, so Mario Chalmers was Fredo, right? That's that much is clear of the brothers. It went during the Big Three era.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I do think Jimmy Butler might know where the bodies are buried.
That's what I'm saying.
But
yeah, what do you think those coffee grounds are made of?
Big cup.
Big face coffee.
Big face.
Big face coffee. They also have a reputation for being very physical. One could be the Godfather 1 and one could be the Godfather 2, and we can both win.
There, we'll split it.
There you go.
Let's just agree that neither are Godfather 3.
Yeah, that's right.
The current Pistons are Godfather 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Malcolm, you're next, and you have the Milwaukee Bucks.
All right. So I said the Milwaukee Bucks are Superman movies. The obvious reason being you have Superman.
Okay. I have Superman.
Oh, battle. First obvious reason being Giannis is basically Superman doing everything by himself. But the other thing I was gonna say was that like the main thing is, at least for me, this is my own opinion, I feel like when a new Superman movie comes out, you're like, oh yeah, Superman. I like Superman. I think that should be a good movie. I think, and then you go watch it and you're like, what? This isn't great. It could be Brandon Routh. It could be Henry Cavill, whoever Superman is. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It should be better, but it's not the best. That's the Milwaukee Bucks. they should be better. Like they should be the best team in the NBA. They should win the title, but they lose in the second round. So
Yeah.
I feel like they always just kind of like they get your hopes up and then they let you down. So
The other comparison there is that like I feel like the modern Supermans have not been great, especially the recent ones.
Yeah.
And the old one is such a classic. And if you look at like the old Bucks teams
Bucks.
with like
Yeah.
Lou Alcindor, Kareem
Yeah.
Abdul-Jabbar, like that's when they were the greatest.
Adam, you're next, and you have Malcolm's new favorite team appointed by you, the New Orleans Pelicans.
I'll be honest with you, I ran out of time, and this is going to be very shocking.
Wait, did we skip the Timberwolves?
Oh, did we? Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry.
I'm going
Omar,
alphabet.
you
the
go
Timberwolves
first.
are the Godfather.
The Godfather.
Yeah, I had the Timberwolves as Scorsese movies, so I'm not sure.
You know what? I skipped the Timberwolves because they suck. They suck so
Similarly,
bad.
you can also skip this movie franchise. It's known as the Transformers. Basically, yeah, I mean, the Transformers maybe had one good movie, and there was probably one Minnesota Timberwolves team that were actually like good or fun to watch, and they weren't even that good. Kevin Garnett made it out of the first round once in his 7 or 8 playoff appearances there. And they would have stars, Kevin Love, Shia LaBeouf, Josh Duhamel, and they still sucked. And then you stopped paying attention to them until they traded for Jimmy Butler, who's basically the Mark Wahlberg of the NBA. But that didn't just do enough to resurrect the franchise either. And now they're just going all in on the youth with their Haley Steinfeld Bumblebee.
They're also the Transformers because it seems like every other year in Minnesota they're just blowing everything up.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
And
Adam,
that's
you
why.
get the
award
of the night goes to Adam for that. All right. Adam, hopefully that gave you a few more minutes to think of something.
We're gonna get this in way under time. This one's a real reach, but I feel pretty good about it. The New Orleans Pelicans are any movie that came out in 2020 in that nobody cares. We know they exist, but like, where do you even watch them?
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. That's it.
You need a screener or you need League Pass to watch them.
I'm not gonna join SAG just to watch the Pelicans.
Oh man.
So I, again, selfishly as the host, gave myself the New York Knicks, and I went ahead and I said that the Knicks were the Fast and Furious franchise, and I said that because everyone goes to see them whether they're good or not, and whether they're good or not doesn't really matter. The point is that they're sexy and flashy and entertaining, and sometimes a dumpster fire, but that kind of makes you want to go see it more because you're at least seeing a lot of drama. But you know, there are some Fast and Furious movies that are good. A lot of people like the first one. And there are a few Knicks seasons here and there that are good. But because of that, because everyone's just like, well, this thing, it's New York, it's Madison Square Garden. You know, this is the Fast and the Furious. You end up just throwing money at stars who maybe aren't the best fit for your franchise, but you throw money at them and you get their name on the poster, you get their name on the marquee sign outside of Madison Square Garden, and you watch them lead your team to mediocrity. And Hobbs and Shaw, right? That's I couldn't put it any clearer than that. Malcolm, Oklahoma City Thunder.
All right, here we go. This is a fun one. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the Twilight movie franchise.
Malcolm, you are deep in the YA here.
I know. Wait, hear me out. So, came from out of nowhere, just how the Oklahoma City franchise came from out of nowhere, actually Seattle. But Twilight movie franchise, you know, came out of young, popular YA novels. And they were kind of hit their peak around the same time, the Twilight movies in like the 2010s, kind of the same time the Thunder did. They both had 3 young stars in them. In this comparison, I'm not sure who's who. So Kevin Durant left the Thunder to win a title. So I guess he's Robert Pattinson, because I would say Pattinson's the one who's done the best out of that. Kristen Stewart must be Russell Westbrook. I'm not Harden. Yeah, there you go. And Taylor Lautner is definitely Russell Westbrook because it's like I don't know.
Because now he's on the Wizards.
That's 1-to-1. That's a 1-to-1.
That is a 1-to-1 actually.
I like it.
That's great, Malcolm. Next we have Omar's most fun team to do, the Orlando Magic.
I said the Orlando Magic are the Shrek franchise because they're just always built around a big man. And
Vucevic equals
Shaq does have big time Shrek vibes. I mean, their names almost sound the same.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yo, do you cop the new Shreks at Kmart? Yo, that new Shrek drop is going to be huge.
Adam, you have the Philly 76ers.
I am most proud of this, of everything involved in what we've done here. The Philadelphia 76ers are Will Ferrell movies. They used to be storied and great, but it feels like it's been a long time since they were anything other than just reliable. This year could change that, but until then, I stand by it. So with championships in 1955, 1967, and 1983, but without a finals appearance since 2001, there has not been a lot to celebrate as a Philly basketball fan in quite some time. Now, this is where it gets fun. Stick with me. The younger stepbrothers of the Eastern Conference, Philly fans have been kicking and screaming for quite some time, as the other guys always seem to win when things get hard. The campaign to get Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey has been promising, but it still feels like the land of the lost once the playoffs come around. And sure, the 76ers are in first place at the All-Star break, but it's just a matter of time before this semi-pro franchise starts to go downhill.
Wow.
Nice.
This is some of my best work of my career, honestly.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Wow.
And the best version of them were the old school version.
Yes.
Nice.
Adam, how did you miss?
Yeah.
You missed one.
Uh,
No, that's
I missed a lot.
he has a lot.
That's
of
great teamwork. That's great teamwork. And Joel Embiid is really anchoring them, man, this year.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Ooh.
god.
Okay.
It's really a story that's stranger than fiction.
So I have the Phoenix Suns, and this is actually one of the ones I like the most because I feel like it was really out of nowhere, but I like it. I said that the Phoenix Suns are the Back to the Future movies, and I say this because the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns were very ahead of their time. They were ahead of their time. And, you know, they were that version of the Suns were fan favorites, even though they never made it to the finals. And like Back to the Future never really won like awards, like, you know, but and like critics generally like those movies, but it's really more of like the fans are what keep that trilogy alive. And I feel like that's very much the same thing with those Steve Nash Suns. And also the Suns training staff has a reputation for like turning back the clock on older players. Like Chris Paul now is playing really well. They had Grant Hill, Jason Richardson, all playing better suddenly in their old age. Even Amari, as he got older, was always healthy on the Shaq. There you go. That's the one I was missing. Shrek. they even made Shrek an all-star, even though he was old. And so
pass me the ball,
monkey. And so I said that the Phoenix Suns are the Back to the Future movies. Adam, I think it's Dame time. Give me the Blazers.
It is Dame time. All right, so this was my M. Night Shyamalan thing. So, in my view, the Blazers are M. Night Shyamalan because they are a goddamn horror show, and their franchise is marked by being close to being great and then making terrible choices. So the Blazers are the team that drafted Michael Thompson over Larry Bird. They most famously drafted Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan. They drafted Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. The Blazers did win a championship in 1977. Let's call that their sixth sense year. And most recently got to the finals in 1992. Let's call that split. They are a very fun team to watch and have a fantastic fan base, much in the same way that M. Night Shyamalan movies, regardless of how good or bad they are, always turn a big profit, but they're ultimately very disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, so it's left Malcolm and I, we have to give our thoughts, right? Because Omar, you said the Hornets.
Bobcats.
I got to say the draft history of the Blazers is a very good
that's a good point. Yeah, those are the twists. It's like, oh, they're gonna draft Michael Jordan, twist. No,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
Sorry, Omar.
Omar,
that's
when we
fine.
get to the end of this, you got to give us a new Hornets. So next we have uh, the team that everyone puts up 140 points against, the Sacramento Kings. Malcolm, take it away.
The Sacramento Kings are the Fantastic Four movies.
Oh.
They always try to make these movies, and they keep trying, but they keep failing, and they're not good. No matter who you put in there, you can have Chris Webber could be there, Jason Williams, Tyreek Evans. They keep trying to shift the mantle to someone else. Buddy Hield now and De'Aaron Fox. And so the Fantastic Four movies also kept getting recast and remade, right? Because Fox was going to lose the copyrights if they didn't keep making. They're going to lose the copyright of Fantastic Four. Much like I think maybe the city of Sacramento is like, let's keep the Kings. I mean, we get to have a pro sports franchise. Oh wait, it's the Kings. Oh boy. But
So I go next. I have the Spurs. I'm going to take a page out of Adam's playbook here and just take a whole category of movies. I'm going to say that the Spurs are foreign films. I think it makes a lot of sense.
I like it.
Their colors are black and white. A lot of foreign films, especially older ones, of course, are black and white. 400 Blows, 8.5, what have you. Their play style is traditionally boring. And that's kind of the connotation you have with foreign films. It's like, here we go, subtitles, black and white from the 40s. I'm going to fall asleep while watching this. That's kind of the Spurs, where they're like not always having a big name. Very, passing is beautiful to watch. The craft of the passing is beautiful, but it's not necessarily
the mise en scène.
The mise en scène of the Spurs is perfect, but they don't exactly dunk on people. And yeah, the critics love these foreign films same way NBA nerds love the Spurs. The general public might not. And so I think, and also the Spurs have a lot of international players. So I feel like it makes sense. You got French players, you got Argentinian players, you got Australian players, Brazilian players, everything. So I think the Spurs are foreign films.
The Spurs winning the championship in 14 was just the artist winning the best Oscar, and people were like, what? LeBron's not in this movie.
I was literally going to say that, Omar. I was going to say it's like the artist, even though it's not foreign, it's black and white and silent.
Yeah.
It's even more offensive because it's not foreign. It's just pretension masquerading as art.
Next, Omar, reporting live from Toronto. You're gonna give us what's the scoop on the Toronto Raptors?
Well, I'm not in Tampa, so I can't really say, but I have passed by the stadium a couple times. Well, I can't go Jurassic Park because that's too easy. And I just didn't think it fit. I see the Raptors as Matthew McConaughey's career. I'll tell you why. They've always been fun, right? Like Vince Carter, Vince and T-Mac, Chris Bosh. There's Kobe dropping 81 on them. There's always a reason to watch. But, they were always fun, not always great. Some were pretty good even, but you never really took them seriously as contenders. And I think it's the same with Matthew McConaughey. And then suddenly, Lowry and DeRozan become Woody Harrelson and McConaughey and True Detective, and they're just a great team.
Kyle Lowry starts waxing philosophically about religion,
time, death.
And Pascal Siakam starts doing Lincoln commercials.
Trading for DeMar for Kawhi is basically Matthew McConaughey losing 50 pounds for Dallas Buyers Club, and suddenly you win the championship, and you never saw it coming.
Would you say the Raptors' favorite team is the Raptors 10 years from now?
10 years from now. That's exactly right. Just trying to figure out how to, but yeah.
Next up is Malcolm. You're going to grace us with your take on LeBron, what LeBron calls the team no one chooses in a video game, the Utah Jazz.
So this is the team that I said I picked the Bourne Identity series
Okay.
because I feel like, and this is kind of going to sound like a lot of what I said about the Pacers. I almost put them in the same. They're like, they're kind of there. They're in the playoffs. The Bourne Identity is a solid action franchise. They're solid, right? But I don't think anyone's going to call them like their favorite action franchise ever. Not when there's Marvel and Mission Impossible and Star Wars and whatever you want to say. So the Bourne Identity is just kind of like it's there. It's like okay, whatever.
I think we
Go
can
ahead.
all agree that the Utah Jazz look most like the team that Malcolm would be on if he were in the NBA.
That is correct. That is correct. I tried out for them.
You got real Jazz face over there.
I was gonna say you're giving me Greg Ostertag vibes.
I was just gonna say I didn't know if anyone would know who Greg Ostertag is.
Oh, we know.
I tried out for Greg Ostertag's stand-in.
Omar, you are closing the show with everyone's favorite 1-2 punch. The Brad Beal, Russell Westbrook led Washington, D.C. Wizards.
Yeah. Now, I also had Superman movies for this, and this was my reasoning. You had said Superman for the Bucks. So they're in a similar situation because they they were really good before you were born. So like you just heard about like, oh yeah, and maybe you've watched the Christopher Reeve like Superman movies, but like back then they were really good, and the Wizards they were the only team in the 70s. They went to the finals 4 times. I mean, they only got 1, but they went to the finals 4 times. And they've had their ups and downs since, as I think we can agree Superman movies have had. There's apparently more love for Superman Returns on the internet than I realized in researching this. Yeah, right?
No, I disagree.
People like, no, never mind.
Does that make Brandon Routh Gilbert Arenas? I don't know, maybe. I don't know if he ever brought a gun somewhere where he shouldn't have. But for the same reason, you always think they're going to be better than they are. And I think this year's Wizards is a sort of case in point. Also, the Wizards had Superman. The MJ is, Superman's the MJ of superheroes, I think, but even that couldn't stop them from being bad. And now they just suck, and you don't even watch Superman movies anymore. And I think that goes the same for the current iteration of the Wizards. And yeah, they are faster than a speeding Washington bullet. So that's how they rack up all those points.
I just can't believe that DC was not part of your central argument.
It's true.
Yeah, that's
the
good.
DC universe.
The DC universe revolves around the Wizards.
Color scheme is red and blue. I don't know.
Yeah,
that works too. Yeah.
Adam, if you had to choose the Bucks or the Wizards to be Superman movies, what would you choose? They both gave strong arguments.
I think there's some recency bias here, but I'm gonna go with Washington. Just the DC thing, it's too perfect. The color schemes, the Jordan thing definitely sold me.
It could be something like the Wizards are DC movies, or and the Bucks are specifically Superman movies, or vice versa.
And I'm gonna give the Charlotte Hornets, because M. Night Shyamalan was stripped from them. I'll give them the Pitch Perfect trilogy. And they just seem like they're always young and fun and not that
good. Great.
I like it.
LaMelo Ball is really he's hitting the high notes this year. He's hitting the high notes.
He sure is.
All right, guys, this was great. Thank you very much. Until next time.